They call me Dan the Lakers. And I got a master plan for the Lakers back to the promised land. Spread the vision through my people, cause we fans are equal. When we reach 20K subs, yeah, we gon' drop a sequel. Another Laker anthem track, watch me run it back. Got the keys to the city where my Laker jet.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy DTLF back with another video. Guys, I got a very special guest for you guys today, man. This man just dropped an amazing book. It's called A Hollywood Ending, man. This is NBA reporter Yaron Weitzman. How you doing today, my man?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Doing great, man. Pleasure to have you on here. Definitely going to hit you with some nice little hard-hitting questions.
I love it.
Because, man, you definitely orchestrated a masterpiece here, man, with this book. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope everybody picks it up, by the way. I got to ask you, man, you interviewed over 250 people. You know, you gathered tons of insider information. You know, I want to ask you, what led you to this multi-year journey to write A Hollywood Ending?
I'm drawn in particular to, like, I love my other book, and a lot of my best stories are like, I like writing about the power dynamics in sports and the NBA specifically. And just the way I phrase it is like, what's happening behind the scenes that we don't see that then impacts what we do see on the court, right? And leading to that. And I think that's stuff that is, hard to find. And I use myself as a barometer for NBA fans. Like, if I feel like I'm interested in it, or if it's something I want to know, I think I have a pretty good radar. And I just want to know what LeBron's Lakers tenure is. A really strange 8 years, right? It's just really strange. There's no nice word to use it. Like, I've been thinking about as I do these book questions and like, what's the way to summarize it? And I just come on weird and strange, which are not fancy words, but just how I landed on it. And I just wanted to know, okay, so what's the deal here? What was this actually like, and why? And so I was interested in finding out.
Awesome. Yeah, great answer. You called this a raw, unflinching look at, LeBron led Lakers career so far. Why do you think the Lakers push so hard, against this book? And what does that really say about, the transparency in sports today?
That's the second part's a quick question. So the first, I don't know. I mean, the answer is because people want to control their own image and narrative. And by the way, I'm power to them. Like, if you're running a business, God bless, that's your prerogative. Like, I have no issue with that. I get it. I don't always think it's the best PR strategy, but that's also like not my decision to make. Right. I do think in the world of sports, powerful people are used to being able to get what they want and control images and lean on institutions and things in a way that maybe you can't otherwise. I mean, sports is different than in other worlds. So sports media, most media companies and our partners in a way with the leagues we cover, right? Whether it means paying for TV rights or like we're relying on getting into the arenas, like it's just different. So there's a semi-partnership there that changes things. And there's like some fandom there, and it's the playground. It is the playground. So I think people are used to just being able to just sort of like get with forced images and manage images and things like that. And when someone comes and is not going to do that, and be clear, like, I don't enter this and I didn't be like, I'm going to burn every bridge down. Like, that's not the goal. But I live in New York. I don't go to Lakers game. I don't cover Lakers games. I'm not in with LeBron. And I wasn't. So like, I didn't have relationships that I had to manage. And I think that lets me do a difference, to come at this from a different way, different perspective.
You know what? I work independently myself, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel like we have the leeway to kind of tell the truth a little more fluently, or our truth a little more fluently without there being, burning bridges like you mentioned, or any repercussions that'll kind of impact your career in any way, shape, or form. Now I do want to ask you, if the Lakers hiring the defamation lawyer, once they caught wind of this book, did that impact the way you see the franchise or at all, or the way you did research for this book?
I mean, so I have it toward the end. I mean, yeah. So like, right. So the way it works when you do a project like this is you reach out as a journalist, right? You start the book, you reach out to the main principals. So like, I reach out to the Lakers and Jeanie Buss and LeBron and all these people separately. You let them know the book's going to happen. You tell them you'd love to talk to them, but if not, you just love to keep the lines of communication open.
Right.
And so LeBron really doesn't do big interviews with people anymore. And I get it. Like, his whole thing, like, why would he give away his story for somebody else? He can make money off it. Like, and by the way, I'm making money off LeBron's name right now, right? Like, I'm not gonna. There's other reasons. I think it's valid. I think he's a seminal, not even just sports figure, but American culture, and like worthy of an in-depth look. And he's fair game, and and all that, and there's interest and a reason why I find him interesting. I think it's important to kind of write about him in a complex way. But like, yeah, I'm making money off his name. Why would he help me with that? Right, for sure. Well, it's not his job to help me with that. The Lakers, things are a little different there. And then anyway, so the Lakers, so he didn't want to take part in it, but there was no issues. The Lakers, the lines of communication were open originally with Jeanie Buss. I met with her a few times off the record, which I wouldn't share. You wouldn't share that, except she's talked about it in public herself. So then it's okay. Right. And then at some point early on, it was actually game one. I was covering the finals. I think I'm bad with the years. 2024, the year Boston won. And game one that day, that was the day the Dan Hurley news dropped, the Woj bomb, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm on the finals and just scrolling on my phone, being whatever. And this email comes from this guy named Marty Singer, who at Google, it's a famous defamation lawyer in LA. And he says he's representing the Lakers. And basically it's not, I call it like, it's not a cease and desist, but it's sort of a, we're paying attention to you type of thing. And so from that moment, like, okay, I'm no longer like my casual off the record conversations. Like we're done with that, which is fine. So I'm done reaching out to Jeanie Buss and Lakers. And what I do then is you send when you're done with the process, but the book's not published yet, but when you're done, you send a fact checking document. And I always describe this as sort of a list of negatives. And I'm sympathetic to this too, right? Because when I send that document, it's like when a Maloof brother, former Kings owner, tells me how good an owner Jeanie Buss was, like she doesn't need to respond to that. Like I don't need to get her response. But I need to get responses of the stuff that maybe she might not be happy. And I'm sympathetic when you get that document and you see 40, 50 points are just like boom, boom. And you probably think, oh my God, this is a hit piece, right? And I get it. And my answer is always like, I always write, I would love to chat over the phone with you and we could talk about this. And I'm always open to being proven wrong. Like, again, these haven't been written yet. So I'm not trying to catch somebody. I'm trying to make sure I get things right. And if somebody can explain to me why I got something wrong and provide the context, I will happily delete that paragraph, sentence, anecdote, whatever, change words, all that. And they responded to that with a very strongly written letter, basically threatening defamation, explaining why these things were wrong. And a lot of their responses like did not check out factually. Like it just didn't make sense. And so you asked, so why they were, I genuinely still don't know why we had such a strong response. Like, I don't know why it went from, we're not into this, we're not going to help you, to that. Like, I don't know. And I don't know if I'll ever know, right? Because I don't. And I think it wasn't helpful to them, honestly. Yeah, it was just really, so yeah, it impacted how I view them. Yeah, for sure. I think for sure. It definitely impacted that.
Awesome. I'll tell you, man, we love the Lakers here. We love Jeanie Buss, with her selling the team recently. I wanted to ask you, man, do you think, from your point of view, knowing all this insider information you know about the Lakers, do you feel like she succeeded her father in her stint as, as a minority or majority stakeholder with the Lakers, or, from the timeline from when she took over from her brother and her family to when she sold the team officially or unofficially?
It's a great question, and I think it's kind of telling you the first person to ask me that. Like, was her tenure a success? They won a title. So I'm gonna have to say yeah, right? But it's a fascinating question because they won a title and she got LeBron. And if you remember they were in the darkness before, right? They were in the darkness. And there's no doubt that among the older four siblings, the younger two are separate, but among the Jimmy, Johnny, Janie, Jeanie group, if you could say all those names 10 times fast, congrats to you. Among that group, she is the most she was the most equipped to be running. Like, she was the one who should be running the team out of that group, out of that four. But I also think her tenure is more complicated than that, right? So the simplification is that, yeah, she got LeBron, she pulled him out of darkness, and she won a title. But I also think it should have been better, and I think there were mistakes, and I think the idea that she also contributed to him being in the darkness before that, like the Kobe golden parachute of a contract, she was very much on board with that. That was her. Like, that was, we take care of our stars, and that was a disaster. Wasn't a disaster, but that dragged the Lakers down. It really did. I know it's blasphemous to say that, but those years, that was a problem. Kobe was not equipped to be he wanted to be the guy, and the Byron Scott, it was a mess those years, right? They were a circus. It was the Kobe show. Even the last game's magical and wild, and it's one of my favorite random YouTube watches. Like, just go back and watch that, and you're like, but wait a second, this isn't the NBA. This is a show, right?
Absolutely.
And she contributed to that for sure. And she hung her brother out to dry a little bit. Like I don't think like she seemed to not, I want to say take pride. Like, I don't think I compare in the book to like the backup quarterback who the city clamors for, right? When the starter is struggling. And I think she didn't mind that role. Like, when she'd be walking around the ball and saying hi to fans, and some of the ways the decision making after, and the way she's insulated herself, understandably so. But since the brothers tried to take the team from her and relying a lot on Rob Pelinka and the Rambuses, there've been a lot of missteps along the way. So I guess the answer is, yeah, she succeeded. She, like the Lakers were in a dark period. She brought them out of there. But I also think some of her success might be overstated.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this, and usually I don't give my opinion on the Q&A, but I'll tell you, the Lakers, in my opinion, because they were in such a dark place, that era you mentioned between the Kobe rebuild years to where they are now, it's night and day. And I feel like she set us back on the right path, which is, reestablishing a franchise to what it's supposed to be. But I'll tell you, man, if we look at the checklist of everything she did, she landed the superstars, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and now Luka, right? So she landed the big impact stars and the championship to go with it. So I'm very proud of her, because that wasn't an easy thing to do, especially how in the gutter the Lakers were and how mainstream media had portrayed the Lakers at that time. They were telling, basically ESPN was telling free agents not to come here because it was ugly.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
The wild part is like one of the sliding door moments is like if the Chris Paul trade, now we're going way back. Like if that goes through, Jim Buss I think still owns, because then the team's good and Jim Buss probably still owns the team until who knows how long, or not owns the team, excuse me, still running the team until whatever. It's just fascinating. Yeah,
it's very interesting how one decision or one prevention of a move can just completely change the outcome of anything. And talking about a misstep, who do you feel? Because, man, you had amazing information on the Russell Westbrook, LeBron James era when he was here. Who do you think bears the most blame for Russell Westbrook trades flop, man? Like, what happened there?
Okay, well, we'll come back to the trade, because it's like this Will Smith story went viral, right? And people saw it. And what I found interesting is like the idea that you can make fun of LeBron all you want and the books and the all that, the movie quotes. The idea that LeBron was at fault for Russell Westbrook's time with the Lakers being a disaster is just not in touch with reality. Like, that was Westbrook. He was awful on the court. He showed no decision to want to fit in. Like, it was just, I found the reaction to that, like, as I'm looking at my mentions and the stories and like, oh, get him, Team Russ, LeBron's a phony, and like, fine. It's so detached from reality, and it's telling in a way in terms of how people feel about LeBron, right? Just like, no, Westbrook was awful. He was awful.
Correct. Yeah.
And by the way, we've seen it, like, it wasn't an outlier. It's very clear. We have 12, and I'm only barely exaggerating, examples of Westbrook since leaving OKC not being able to fit in around the team. Like, how many teams do we have to go through before it's like, no, it's him, right? So that's clear. The Westbrook trade is fascinating. Okay, 3 reasons. One, and sorry if there's a siren outside my window. They're coming for me. Okay, so how we got there. So when we back up, and I actually think I should have played this up more in the book, and I think it's an underrated part. The big mistake, and I think one of these big lines where like things would be very different if they had reacted differently is everyone thinks about that COVID's impact. Everyone thinks about COVID in the bubble season, but the real season that was impacted by COVID, can you hear me okay as they're going by? The real season that was impacted by COVID was the one after, right? The bubble, most of that season was completed, and in the bubble, they were all the same. It was a weird environment, but they're all the same, equal territory, and everyone's healthy and whatever. I mean, great basketball. That was the ironic part, right?
Right.
The next season is the one that's wild, where you have people in and out for 2 weeks, COVID, all this. Some stands have fans, some don't. Coaches are in and out. No one's going on. There was like that quick off season. Remember, the Lakers had literally 71 days between the end and the start of the next season. Right. And like, that was the wild season. And the Lakers start off that season really strongly, if people remember. And then they fall off a little bit. And then they go up 2-1, the Suns, and AD and LeBron get hurt and they lose in the first round. And I get it. I think looking back, like the move should have been to be like, you know what? We had 71 days. There was no shot. Like, we're good. Let's get healthy. Let's run it back. Let's bring back Caruso, Caldwell Pope. Maybe we can tinker along the edges and let's run it back. And instead, they reacted, and they being both parties, right? They being LeBron and his group and the Lakers front office really react to that. And this is, I think, maybe the biggest mistake in the Lakers tenure, and the line where things could have been one way and they ended up being another. So as I choke. So they react to that, and like LeBron and Jared Dudley told me this. LeBron, AD, and Jared Dudley are huddling up, and they're going through Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard and who am I forgetting? DeMar DeRozan, and Russell Westbrook's one of those people. And I know, like, I have it confirmed. Like, LeBron had reached out to Russell Westbrook, and at the same time, Rob Pelinka is telling the front office, "We want a star. We need a third star. We need more people. Let's look at the Nets. We need that." So both parties decide they need another star. They're reacting to the failure, but I'm taking calls because it really wasn't, if you think about the context of the previous season. And they both push for the Westbrook trade, and they both work it, and they get Westbrook. And then after, they both try blaming the other one. They go, "No, it was their idea. It was their idea. It was their idea." And the relationship never recovered from that. The LeBron Lakers relationship, and it's just such a moment where, like, and I get it, but if they were able to pull back and say, "This season was nuts. The pandemic, like, we're finally past all that. Let's just go ahead," I think things would be really different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. By the way, shout out to Kimiko for posting the link right there. A Hollywood Ending.
Yeah, thank you.
Today, guys. Pick it up today. Great book, by the way, man. I took my time with this book because I just enjoy the details. Sometimes I read them over, So, I know you told me, give me your thoughts once you finish it. I literally finished it last week. So,
I love it.
I took my time with it, and I gotta ask you, man, do you believe that clutch sports influence is good for the NBA or bad for the NBA, or is there like a middle ground there? How do you feel about
it's the middle ground? Well, one thing I learned is like the idea of the clutch influence over the Lakers was misstated, is over, and the best example, and it's public, this isn't mine, but is the Ty Lue thing in 2019. LeBron wanted Ty Lue as the coach. It's very out there. And Ty Lue was a perfect candidate. It's not like he was like a bum. Like, Ty Lue was a former Laker, a champion, a really good coach. He got along well with LeBron. Like, he checked every box, and LeBron wanted him. And I'm not going to say the Lakers, because they get very sensitive. It's not that they didn't want him, but they weren't willing to pay him the amount that he thought he deserved to get paid as a championship coach, right? And that's year 2. This is wild because think about it. Like, that's not year 9 post Russell Westbrook. That's year 2. That's offseason number 2 with LeBron. You're already saying no to that. So, like, I don't know what other example you need to show that, like, clutch is not running things. Yeah, did some guys get through? Yeah, but, like, it's no different. How many Antetokounmpos are on the Milwaukee Bucks right now, right? Like, it's no different than this is NBA superstars. And by the way, it's smart management in a way. Like, there's no sport where one player can have an impact on a team on the court like that. If that's what makes your guy happy, that's part of the job.
Absolutely.
So I always think the clutch thing gets like misplayed a little bit. Like, all agents, any agent who's had the guy, any agency who has that guy throughout history, this is David Falk, Michael Jordan, whatever, throughout history, is always trying to leverage that power into whether for the agency or for the player in some way. And the Lakers were, and LeBron and clutch were no different. Yeah,
you know what, man? You made great points about that. I think LeBron James has been bigger than most franchises he's played for. Just, we're talking about an iconic superstar who, since high school, has taken over, every league he's been on. So, LeBron James is a generational talent for sure. And I think, the mistake was when him and Clutch came over that they would be bigger than the Lakers. I have a feeling that was one of the issues that I think where they bump heads. It's like, you're not bigger than the Lakers. The Lakers are never going to be, coerced to do something they don't want to do. They'll play nice as long as they're getting the best out of you. They'll draft your son. They will, do everything in their power to make you happy. However, the moment you start, trying to flip the narrative and blaming the Lakers, that's when, you see, they just sold the franchise. You see how Magic Johnson, you covered it in this book, he just quit out of the blue because he wanted no part of any of the drama that was about to go down, man. At the end of the day, the Lakers franchise will always be bigger than any player, including Kobe Bryant, who I love dearly, right? They're going to be the biggest franchise of all time.
A great example, and Jeanie has said that, like, she's Shaq, like Jerry Buss basically didn't want to pay Shaq. Like, he broke up with Shaq, which is wild if you think about it, right? So it's very much. The Lakers are funny because they try to be like, it's a little of having a cake, eat it too. But this is also why I was drawn to the subject. I call it the merging of two iconic brands, iconic sports brands under one roof. What does that look like? Yeah. Right? And it's fascinating.
Very true, man. Let me ask you, what's one myth about the Lakers era and the LeBron era that you feel like you debunked with this book here?
A myth, you said?
Yeah, any sort of like, from the outside looking in, what's one thing that maybe you want the fans to know that maybe isn't so sunshine and rainbows, when you
So
think
I think the clutch stuff is part of that, right? Again, I think there's a clutch runs things, and I think that is part of it for sure. Like that was one because I took a deep look at that, right? And that was because I was interested in that. That was one. Yeah, just I think Jeanie Buss has really insulates herself among people around and surround herself with people she trusts, and I'm not sure she's always getting the best information relayed back to her, right? I'm not sure that what the perspective is being shared with her is always an objective one, maybe is what I would say, right?
Right.
And I get why you surround yourself with people. So like, again, the brothers tried taking the team from her. So think psychologically, right? The brothers tried doing that. You're going to react to that in an understandable way. And then you bring in Magic Johnson, who is like basically a brother to her, right? Literally, like that's like her brother from years. Like she's talked about this. Like I have the story of the book, but this has been told many times where like the first time he opens a door, comes to see Jerry Budd, they connect, and like they're literally just siblings. And he lets her down in an embarrassing way, right? He lets her down, leaves with that press conference that like we all know about, and yet I still think is one of these like forgotten, underrated NBA moments, right? And after that, you're like, okay, I got to make sure, I got to trust people. Like this is a crazy world, I got to surround myself with people I can trust. But I'm not sure that always leads to the best decision making. Is how I would put it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. I 110% agree. They say you don't mix business with pleasure, right? That's one thing we've heard. That's a cliche for sure. Got a fan question here from my guy Amir. He says, "Do you think Jeanie sold the team because she's too nice to actually tell LeBron no?"
Okay, it's a good question. So, do I think? I don't think that'd be it, right? I don't think so. But I also don't think we've been given it it's bothered me how we haven't really gotten it, and it doesn't have to. We haven't been told. It hasn't been explained to us why she sold the team yet. And the answer everyone goes to is $10 billion valuation. How can you say no to that? How can you say no to that? And I don't buy that, or I need her to say that. And a couple of reasons I bring that up. One, the idea that Jeanie, like, I know they sell this where the mom and pop shop of the NBA, like they're not wanting for money. That's one. They're fine on money. They literally were getting paid. Like you get paid dividends anyway. If you own the team, it's like not a salary, but you get paid. They're fine on money. The Lakers also, again, like they're not owned by a private equity tied in. They have the largest local contract. It's definitely a cable contract, definitely in the NBA, if not all of, maybe baseball's more, but that's definitely in the NBA. Huge local cable contract, all the TV money in the NBA, the sponsorships, they sell out the stadium. Like that. That's not, the Lakers are fine financially. And Jeanie has no kids, right? So I bring that up, like it doesn't matter. But the idea that you would need, a $10 billion valuation, like it's like that you can't turn that down. I don't know. You can, like, who's that money for? And to the point, like, if you need money, you could also sell. If it's just for cash, you could sell minority stakes, and even if it's a lower valuation, right? So maybe you sell 10% at a $7 million valuation, right? And it's less, but you still get your cash and you're fine. So we haven't given an explanation. I always joke the big winner in all of this was Jay Moore, right? Who's married to her, and Jay Moore's kid, right? He's the big winner. And the way the Lakers, I'm going to go into this because it's interesting. The way the Lakers trust was basically set up is to sell, they're the 6 children, right? The way it was set up is that you need 4 to 2 to sell a team. And if someone, when someone dies, like it gets divided. And basically what would happen is, assuming no tragedies, whatever, but it's more likely, right? You have the 4 from their first marriage who are older, then Joey and Jesse are younger. Likelihood is it would end up with them in 20 years, the last 2 standing, they own the team, they're running the team, right? So they obviously, I don't know, but we know they didn't want to sell. So they're the 2, right? Then we have Jimmy, Johnny, always wanted to sell. They wanted to sell for years. For money reasons, they've wanted to sell for a long time. When they did the boardroom coup, they've wanted to sell. We have those 2 and Jeanie. So it's always been 3-2, and Jeannie's always been a swing vote, and Jeanie has never wanted to sell. What changed? I don't know. And the other part is, like, I find interesting, she's always talked about how her dad wanted the Lakers in the family for years. Like that was one of the legacy. And now we're going back on that after like 20 years. So there's a lot of questions there. So the answer to your question, like, I don't think it has to do with LeBron contract. That's too micro. But I also don't think we've been given a reason. I don't know the answer. To feel like, why now? Why Jeanie decided now?
Yeah, that was a shocker, man. This summer, I think that was the biggest story that dropped Even free agency was good, but I don't think there was a single free agent that dropped that was bigger than that story of Jeanie Buss selling the team. And it caught me by surprise. But I'm not gonna lie, I love the Buss.
Most people, it caught a lot, even people in there caught by surprise. So for sure.
Yeah. So no, you're absolutely right. One sweet short question here by my guy CJ. He said, "Hey, Yaron, what was your reaction to the Luka trade?"
Okay, so this is good. I have it. So it's a good story. So I live in New York, but I was, so the book was done, right? I ended the book on Bronny. That was a nice ending. I liked it. When I made sure to go to LeBron, that first game against Minnesota, I made sure to go there. I just was in the locker room, just writing down everything. I just wanted to go really in on, this is a cool moment. LeBron, we're not winning titles anymore, but he's done something different and he's happy. And we're going to end on this. It's beautiful. Okay. Done. And then I'm in, so that I live in New York, and that game, remember the Lakers played the Knicks that night. So I'm at MSG and hanging around the Lakers locker room outside, and Rich Paul's out there. And when the Lakers come to New York, a lot of teams this happen. They make New York sort of a trip. It becomes a family trip. A lot of family and friends, they make it a vacation. And the Lakers usually play in New York on a Saturday night these days. It's usually a primetime game. So this is normal. You get there, a lot of the family and the agents, they're all going to be there. So anyway, outside the locker room, Rich Paul's hanging out there, Savannah, and everyone's yucking it up and everyone's happy. And I see this, I'm going to fast forward, very clearly not people who are not in the loop of a major trade, right? It's very clear that the idea that, and Rich Paul, I think he said this, right? He didn't know, Rich Paul, if Rich Paul knew that his client was going to be traded, he's not out in the hallway smiling and talking about where he's going for dinner that night, right? Okay, so I'm there hanging around. I'm driving home at 1 a.m. and not that I ever look at my phone while driving, right? But the Shams tweet, when a Shams tweet comes through at 1 a.m., I'm that's weird. So I look at it and I'm oh, okay, that's obviously he was hacked. That was my thought. I was I didn't even pull over. I'm that's clearly a hack, right? Clearly that there's no way. And then I see this is real, and then I'm like, oh my God. And I knew right away. Selfishly, what am I thinking? My first thing is shit, this has to go in the book. We can't not have this in the book. So we have to open up the chapter and report it out a little bit. So my reaction was, my action was shock, but that was everyone, right? I put the group chat in the group chat thing went viral a little bit, right? That the Lakers reactions to the trade. You can check that out. You can see. So yeah, my reaction was shock. And then it was what's LeBron going to do? How's he going to react? And I thought his reaction was interesting, just and kind of understandable, where he loves AD, but he knows basketball, and he made it very clear he was okay with the trade. I'm not even saying behind the scenes. He said it publicly. He said, if I want to waive my no trade clause to get up out of here. And I think Luka's one of these guys. He's a basketball player's basketball player. Everyone knows how good Luka is, and it's the respect people have. You can listen. You go in shape, whatever. On the court, the guy's a beast, right? And brilliant, and does these things. And he played. I think. LeBron clearly he plays similarly to LeBron in terms of the chess master stuff, and LeBron respects him. So I think I found that interesting too. Okay, I guess LeBron's not going anywhere. So those were my reactions. It was a crazy night.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Crazy night, bro. I was literally doing the post game, and as soon as I finished post game, we had just defeated the Knicks. We were feeling good. We were playing amazing basketball.
Great defense.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I end my post game, I had to bust a U-turn and come right back to break the news on the live. My voice was gone after that night, but I was hyped, man. And it's always going to be one of the greatest moments, I think, in Laker history when we look back again. One of the greatest trades ever of all time. And so we're looking at, we're going to reap the rewards for years to come, I believe. All right, let me ask you this question here, man, because Rob Pelinka, he's a very interesting man. Rob Pelinka, you really touched on him a lot in this book. One of the things that caught my attention was your research, on the league's views of Rob Pelinka and how most don't trust him. Do you think this is currently what impacts the Lakers' ability to make trades or lack thereof at times? With the exception of the Luka trade, because obviously that was his buddy from Nike there. But you think this potentially impacts negotiations?
It could to a point. When it comes down to it, it's a good question. I don't think so. Yeah, go.
Sorry about that. It is the same question my guy was going to ask here.
That's fine. I don't think when it comes down to it, if someone wants to make a move, they'll make a move, right? I think these guys are all professionals, and there could be something where you see some teams sometimes make trades with each other more frequently, right? Because they just have a relationship and there's a trust there. The thing about Pelinka, though, it's more I don't think people don't trust him in terms of trade. So as an agent, they didn't trust his word, right? For sure. I think he's a different kind of guy in some of the things he says, right?
Right.
He's a different kind of guy in terms of like just talking on phone calls and whatever. But like trade, like listen, I mean, I guess it was his benefit. Like he kept the Luka trade quiet, right?
That was amazing. Yeah.
Right. I mean, again, it's to his benefit. So we did that. Like, yes, I don't think that does. I really don't. I get it's a fair question. I think it's more of honestly, it's more like we saw Dorian Finney-Smith. There was some stuff, and this was after the book, right? But there was stuff there about like Dorian Finney-Smith feeling like Rob had bashed him in terms of his health to other teams and things like that, trying to get him back. But I don't think like if a team wants a Lakers draft pick, they're not going to. Then they're going to try to get it, and they'll just handle negotiations in a certain way, right? And I don't think the Lakers like. They might not trust his word, but he's not leaking. I think teams get more worried about the leaking stuff because a player can find out that can torpedo something. I don't think the Lakers you don't hear a lot about their trade negotiations, unless I'm wrong. But I don't think you hear a lot about the stuff, or no different than anyone else. Like you don't hear about like shopping Anthony Davis, not that they were, or anything along those lines.
Right.
So it's a fair question. I don't think so. I think it's more. I would say it's more agents around the league and players and just overall reputation, right, as opposed to actual impact in the trades.
Yeah. Okay, that's a fair answer. The only reason I asked, and I was interested in that because
hit me.
I mean, man, again, the book goes into depth with how the league viewed Rob Pelinka and his snaky ways at times with the agents and the players and some of the things he did to pull clients away and stuff like that. I gotta say, man, with my experience as a Laker fan, Rob Pelinka, like you said, operates in the shadows. That's the one thing I do like about him is the fact that you usually don't hear about these trades happening until they go through. When most teams you hear these rumors start rumbling, and then you see something happen with the Lakers, man. It'll be years before we actually make a deal, but it's worth the wait. Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic is worth the wait. At the end of the day, you get the golden stars, man, and shining armor. All right, my guy says, "Are you a Knicks fan or a Nets fan?" Or a Nets fan?
Well, so Nets fans don't exist. You got to remember that. So there are no Nets fans, and I'm only slightly kidding. I grew up a Knicks fan. As a reporter, you kind of lapse on it a little bit. But now I have a 6-year-old son who has the sports bug, and he's a huge Knicks fan. And like I found myself last year during the playoffs, like when I'm sitting on the couch with him, like I found myself like rooting back again for the Knicks in a way that I hadn't in a long time.
They're fun.
It was fun, yeah. And again, like you try to be careful as a reporter, but I think I'm pretty good at sort of balancing my and the way I do it. I'm not like any semblance of fandom I have is not coming through in my work. So
right, absolutely, yeah. You got to stay unbiased at all times, man. And you do a great job of that. Do you believe, due to the NBA being modernly a players' league more so than an owners' league nowadays, do you think NBA players are come with more of an ego and have a little bit more diva to them? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I've thought about not the NBA players are really famous. It's you got to remember, like he's J.R. Smith. Let's use J.R. Smith. I know he's not. J.R. Smith was like a 7th man, maybe a borderline starter, and he's probably more famous than even now than than most MLB stars, right? I'm comparing. Like you can have Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and that's it. I don't know who. And I'm saying random guys. So NBA players are very famous. They stand out in public, literally, right? So it means you have to, and in a world with the camera, with the phones and whatever, you have to insulate yourself a little bit. So I do think that can that alters your brain chemistry a little bit in a way. So they're not the divas, but I think you grow up differently. You're very famous. You're very famous, right? And you don't have a lot of privacy, and I think that can change you a little bit. And now they're all very rich, which is fun. The other thing is you got to remember, NBA, it's 12-man roster, MLB is 25, NFL 70. So if you've made it there, you are a star, and you were probably a college star and probably a high school star now with the way social media is too. So that stuff, it's like a bunch of child stars coming together almost, right? Not always. So again, I think that's going to alter the way you approach life is kind of my answer.
That's a great answer. That's a great way to look at it. It's almost like the way I see it is like a spoiled child, right? If they grow up, always being fed by the silver spoon, you're never going to know the struggle like that. And the attention that they get is second to none in the NBA. Like you said, they're universal, man. And I could definitely see where you're coming from there. All right, my final question for you, man. And again, I want to thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
And how would you describe LeBron James in one word?
Oh,
how
God.
would you describe LeBron James' tenure with the Lakers?
A tenure of the Lakers. Okay. Not one. I'm gonna say weird and complicated, right? The short answer, and I'll go elaborate. So you have to say it was a success. They won a title. It was a success. The way I say is it was a success, but right, and that's kind of how I summarize it. It was a success, but there should have been more, and it was weird, and there were a lot of ups and downs, and I think they expected a different. He's gonna have spent. This is his longest consecutive stretch with any team. Like he's gonna have spent at least 8, if not more, 9 more years, if not 9 years. Excuse me, total. And I think if you had said in 2018 that he's going to spend 8 to 9 years here, I think the expectation would have been more than one, forget even title, more than one finals run, and just more. Just the award would have been more. That would be my answer.
That's a great answer because you're absolutely right, man. And I feel like you understand us, Laker fans. When we land superstars, we expect multiple titles. So for me, if I guess to answer my own question, it would be underwhelming. Not by LeBron standards, because LeBron, I think, did everything in his power to help us compete and everything, but by the front office and Lakers standards, I feel like we kind of under-delivered. And you mentioned it earlier, the Alex Caruso not re-signing him and stuff like that, little mistakes like that, missteps, I think prevented us from continuing to compete with the Anthony Davis, LeBron James level. Man. But thank you so much, Yaron, man. I'm going to need to get your signature on this book, man. I'm going to have to ship it back to you, man, because this was a great one. It surprised me. It snuck up on me, man.
I love it.
And definitely pick it up, guys. Kimiko, please, if you're so kind to post the link one more time for them, you guys can pick it up today. Book dropped October 21st, and it's been making its rounds all over social media, including who was it? Fox that picked it up and talked about it.
A bunch of places. It's good stuff. Yeah, it's been nice. I appreciate it. It's nice.
So definitely check it out. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother, and thank you for taking time out of your day.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. This was fun. Thank you.
All righty, man. Have a great rest of the day. And chat, thank you guys so much for all your support as well. We'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.